sweet soul. Today I wanted to dedicate a little bit of time to speak in a more specific way on how I began my journey with minimalism and mindfulness. I recently posted in my YouTube community where I try to post frequently to you guys and ask questions and give thoughts and inspirations that have come to me to share in the community, and also to gain insight from you to see what I could talk about on these topics of mindfulness, minimalism, writing, creativity that would even better serve you. And so many of you left wonderful comments and questions and ideas for videos, and I was very happy to hear from all of you. Thank you so much for your feedback. It truly means the world to me. So I wanted to use this time to have a cup of tea. I made myself some tea. I hope you have a warm cup of tea or coffee or some drink you love, and we can get into a few things about minimalism. Today I wanted to talk about how I began my journey. So I think one of the most important aspects of starting out in minimalism, some of you guys mentioned, how do you start afresh? Perhaps you're even moving into a new space, or you're revamping a space and you're like, hey, I want to try a new practice. I want to invite a new practice into my life in one way or another. I want to be more mindful with how I create, or more intentional with the space that I give myself to create in. Both are wonderful things. And minimalism is different for everyone. That's something very important to know from the outset. It's a bit of a myth that we see on the internet sometimes of minimalism being a specific set of rules, but it's not. Minimalism is very subjective, and it's a very personal practice, and it should be. It shouldn't be any other way. There should never be rules around minimalism, because really minimalism, in my opinion, stems from a practice of mindfulness, which leads me to this first little note I have written down here, is finding your why in minimalism. So as you start out on this journey, maybe you want to have a cleaner, more tidy space to work or live in. Maybe you want to completely change your home. Maybe you want to give away a lot of things or a few things, whatever your unique circumstance is. I think the most important thing when you're starting out is to figure out why you are doing this. A lot of culture, and I'll speak for myself, I live in a culture that's a westernized culture, and a lot of the hustle-oriented culture on the internet promotes this idea of being very goal-oriented. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having goals, because it can be wonderful to have goals, and goals can be a beautiful thing to have in your life, and to achieve goals and to shoot for the stars and that sort of thing. All of that can be very encouraging. However, I think we can also get very obsessed with goals and constantly pushing this sort of finish line out farther and farther. So with minimalism, it's not so much a goal of simply having less, because if that's your goal, then you'd have to ask yourself, well, why? Why own less? And for me, the answer came, and I want to be careful with this because I'm not saying that everyone's answer will be the same. I'm just saying the question should arise first so that you can find your own path, find your own way with this. But for me, the answer was, I wanted to change my lifestyle. I wanted to live in a way that grounded me and centered me more in the things that actually mattered to me, which meant having less things to take care of. And that's something we don't think about a lot. It's not publicized very much because it goes against the concept of commerce In today's world, things are constantly being advertised to you on videos, on Instagram, on social media in general, on the internet, even on websites you go on just for simple information, you'll see ads. On television, you'll see ads. So culture wants you to buy things. And this idea of really stopping to think about, well, do we need this? Does it actually add value to our lives? Isn't really encouraged, because that sort of goes against buying things in excess. And that's what a lot of the world runs on. Now, there's nothing wrong with buying things, but I think we need to realize something about bringing things into our lives. A concept that I like to call inviting. When we invite things into our lives, every single thing that we have, think the clothes you're wearing, the roof over your head, the furniture that you might be sitting on right now, the shoes you might be wearing, all of these things require some amount of attention on our part, right? To take care of them, to look after them, to organize them, put them away, clean them. All of these things, even moving them around. When we have too many things, we have to figure out, where do I store it, and what do I do with it, and should I hang on to this? And so much energy is spent on trying to figure out what to do with our things, right? We have to be careful with what we're giving our time and energy to, what we're giving our attention to. We don't have a limitless amount of energy and attention. Mindfulness teaches us that we are happiest and most centered in ourselves when we are paying attention to right here, right now. So we can really only pay attention to very few things. And studies show us this. You can look up any studies that have been done over the years on multitasking, how well someone can handle doing multiple tasks. And we find from this science that we can't really do many things at the same time very well. So we can only give our attention to very few things. Otherwise, we're dividing our attention over so many things that a lot of other things are suffering. Only a few things can have that priority attention. So what are the things we'd like to prioritize in our life? We need to really get to a place where we can ask ourselves honestly and give ourselves an honest answer. What do we want to give, to gift our time to? What do we want to give the gift of our attention? These are sacred gifts that you are giving each and every day to something. A lot of times, we don't consciously decide what those things are. We sort of let things bump into our lives and we collect those things until we eventually have so much that we feel overwhelmed. Oh my goodness, there's so much clutter. I need to just get rid of some things, but I'm not sure where to begin. So my why for minimalism and why I choose this lifestyle is because I realize my attention and my time is precious and I want to live present. I don't want to have my attention divided over so many things that what's really important is actually suffering. Minimalism causes us to be more intimate in our mind with what is important to us. We get to know those things better, and that can be a really beautiful thing in and of itself, to have a better understanding of the things and the people and the places that are the most important to you. And that might be worth doing a journal page about if you're into journaling, writing a few things down, or having a quiet meditation with yourself and really opening yourself up to the idea of what is actually the most important to me in my life. What things are actually bringing value to my life. Which leads me to another point. Becoming less goal-oriented and more lifestyle-oriented. So as I was just saying, a lot of cultures can be very centered around goals, having goals, which can be fine. But what sort of life do we want to be building? What sort of lifestyle do we want to invite on a daily basis? What's actually bringing value to our lives each and every day? What's increasing the quality of our lives? As I began asking myself these questions, I saw more and more that it wasn't about just achieving a level of things I owned. Like, oh, I own very few things, and now I can go on YouTube and say I sold everything I owned, like those videos you see. Not that I'm saying they're bad. They can definitely serve a purpose. It can be very good to let go of everything if it's holding you down. But I didn't want to just have a goal of getting rid of everything. I wanted to figure out what lifestyle I wanted to be inviting into my life. And that did include letting go of a lot of things. And we often use this word decluttering. And there's nothing wrong with the word decluttering, but I like to look at it a little bit differently. I refer to it in my own personal practice as inviting and letting go. And for me, it makes it easier. It makes it a much easier process than what things should I keep and what things should I get rid of. Because those terms can be a bit intimidating, really. When we're getting rid of something, it feels almost like we're tearing away something that is important, right? Something that we might regret getting rid of, or something that might have sentimental value. Maybe when we look at it different, it will have a different effect on us. At least that's what I've noticed in my own practice. When I look at something as letting go of it, perhaps it's already served its purpose for me. And now I can release. I can release my grasp on that thing, and I can let it move on to have a better life. And so when you're donating things and stuff like that, that can be a wonderful approach. If you haven't read the book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, that is a very good book on cleaning up your space. I love the idea of expressing gratitude to an object, a thing that you've had, that you're grateful for the time that you had it, but now it's time to release it and let someone else love it now, let it have a new life. And so that can be a less daunting word than getting rid of something. And then the other term, inviting. An invitation is a conscious act. And that is the most important part, because culture often promotes this idea, and the internet especially, of just letting things come into your life. Consume more, consume more, consume more, and then you'll be happy. But that finish line always gets pushed out farther and farther and farther. It's not conscious at all. We're making a lot of these decisions out of just kind of a knee-jerk reaction. It's like on your way to the checkout in a store, how there's often like tons of items that you can buy while you're waiting to check out, and those are called impulse buy items, because so many of these things that don't matter that much are impulse purchases. They're not thought about. They're not mindfully invited into our lives. And that idea is constantly being promoted to us. Invitation is the opposite of impulse, because we're stopping to think about what we actually want to consciously take time to invite into our lives. So what kind of life do you want to build? And maybe when you invite something into your life, when you're considering making a purchase, ask yourself, does this move me closer toward not a goal, but the lifestyle that I am actively trying to manifest in my own life? Or does it bring me a step back from that lifestyle? Does it work towards what I want to manifest, or does it work against it? And I think if we're honest with ourselves, those are usually pretty clear answers that come to us when we are quiet with ourselves and give ourselves time to think about it. I usually, before I make a purchase, I let a few weeks go by. I let a few months go by. And the larger the purchase, the more time I let go by. The more time I wait and consider the different aspects. Does my desire for it fade over time? Or do I only increasingly see how that would actually add value to my life? So usually time and distance from a thing can help you see more clearly and more in a more honest lens, a more honest light, what that would actually do for your life, if it would bring you closer to the lifestyle you want, or if it would take you farther away from it. And you can apply those same things to things you have. Does that item that you have in mind, think of something that maybe you've been on the fence about getting rid of or decluttering, letting go of, does it bring you closer to what you want to manifest in your life, or does it take you a little farther away? So to recap, I know this is a lot and this is a little bit of a different video. I wanted to just sort of organically discuss these things and share these ideas with you. I'm not a perfect practitioner of these ideas at all. I am learning them. I am learning them every single day, and I'm sharing the journey as a fellow student of life with you. So comment below and tell me your own thoughts, because I would love to hear them. You guys are so insightful, and I learn so much when you share your own unique journey with me, things that I've even been able to invite into my own daily practice, and that's been amazing, an amazing part of this journey and this beautiful growing community. So to recap, finding your why is important. Figure out, why do I want to invite a more minimalist, mindful lifestyle into my day-to-day life, into my home, into my dwelling place? Is it simply to have less things? Well, why? What's the why behind wanting to have less things? Is it to have more freedom of movement, to have more mobility? Is it because certain things just piling up in your life have a toxicity to them that prevents you from doing the things you really want to do, perhaps financially or physically? Are these things inhibiting you in any way? And do you feel that by letting go of them, you would actually have more freedom physically, financially, spiritually even? These are great things to take notes on, to dwell on in meditation, if that's something that you are into. I like to just throw that out there because I think meditation is a wonderful way to find more centered living. At least that's how it has helped me. I feel so much more centered when I meditate on these things. I find more honest answers. I know journaling for some people is a wonderful tool to be able to ask yourself questions and let yourself answer them in a very free flow of expression. So find what works for you. Either way, consider these ideas and come up with your own answers. They don't have to be my answers. This is just me sharing my journey with you so far and giving you a springboard to ask your own questions and come to your own conclusions on these topics. I want to thank you guys again for your wonderful input on that post that I posted in the community tab of my YouTube channel. Always, always, always feel free to ask questions in there. Leave comments if there's a video you would like to see me cover, a topic regarding minimalism, mindfulness, creativity, writing. I love getting ideas from you. I love being able to serve you in better, more mindful and effective ways. So that means a lot to me to hear from you. I hope you got something out of today's video, out of this organic conversation, this discussion. Comment below and tell me what you think. If you enjoyed this video, it always means the world when you click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and share it with someone who you think could benefit from it, that you think might be uplifted by this message. If you'd like to support the videos I make here, you can also check out my Patreon page if you feel moved to do so. Otherwise, I thank you so much for watching. It truly means the world to me, and I will see you in the next video, my friend. I wish you so much joy in your journey. Namaste.